gotten it yet? Okay, I'm going to bring Coach in. Should be on mute. Yep. So, okay, we're going to get started with opening comments from Coach, and then we'll get to your questions.
December 11th, great day to go for a 6-mile walk. How about this? Outdoors. Yeah, it's great weather. Coming off the Duke game, obviously, you know, feel good about getting that win. I think we did some things better. I thought we left a lot out there to still improve on and miss some opportunities to really kind of put them away. But again, I think it was another opportunity for us to grow and get better. Obviously, playing on the road as we have been doing, and this next one on the road helps toughen us and season us and get us acclimated to what's coming in the next 20 games and hopefully beyond. So we're excited about being able to play great competition, great people, and continue to learn. So very pleased with Adam Miller. Was a different player than he was in the Baylor game. I thought Curbelo was outstanding, other than a few silly turnovers, which we continue to work through and talk to him about. And but I love the pace we played with in that game. I thought the start of that game, you know, both teams might try to score 120, and then our attention to detail was much better in terms of scouting report and not blowing assignments. The schemes we used were effective, and we handled those. So that there's tremendous growth in that capacity. So obviously heading into a different year with bragging rights and being at their place. It's a very good, old, and very mature Missouri team that is impressive on paper. They're playing faster than they've played in the past. They're very versatile, being able to play 4 guards, playing Xavier Pinson now exclusively at the point, kind of letting him go. In terms of giving him a lot of freedom on the offensive end, using his speed. And then again, I think one of the most underrated players, not only for them, but in the country, is Drew Smith, and a very good player, and who's quietly having a very good year. So an old team, a team that's very connected on the defensive end, and a team that's obviously proven and worthy of their undefeated record.
Okay, Rob, you get us started. Then Alec, you're on deck.
Brad, are you traveling today?
Late tonight.
Have you modified at all your new viewpoint about traveling day of?
Yeah, it's very dependent on weather things. We're still trying to work through some things with the Big Ten. We were going to definitely travel the day of. We were concerned a little bit about weather supposed to be turning and rain and cold, and but I think the only thing that would have really moved that needle going day of, Rob, is if we had been in the same hotel, because they do host a football game tomorrow, and I don't like anybody being around. So, you know, we might have stayed and just gone over the day of had that happen, but we'll stay consistent with what we've done in our other 2 games so far.
And to sort of press this issue a little bit, I know that we've, in the past, Illinois basketball, like there was a Penn State game a few years ago where they got trapped in a snowstorm and they arrived like half an hour before tip time. But in general, you know, when you were a player, it was kind of a Thursday and Saturday thing for most college games, or at least when I was a kid. And does it seem like you spend just more time in hotels than you need to, maybe?
Well, you know, I think with the television and every game being televised, I understand the intent of the rule. I think we have a $100,000 fine in our league. If we're not there now, the night before, and I think it's TV driven, so that we avoid those weather delays. If you go in the day of and a storm blows in and you miss, and there's not a game on TV, well, it's a pretty costly event to not have on TV. So I understand the purpose of it. I do think this is an outlier year where some things can be different. We had that in the Big 12. I did a decent amount in the Big 12. Even when I was with Frank Martin, we would travel the day of. But yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, we spend a good amount of time in a hotel. We're to the point where we're going in, getting in 9, 10 o'clock at night, watching film, having a snack, and going to bed, and not trying to do anything in the arena or any of that the night before.
That's it for me. Thanks.
Alec, you're up. Scott Beatty on deck.
Hey, Coach. Last year after the game, you spoke a little bit about leadership and how important it is in this game. Are you in a better place leadership-wise as a program than you were last season?
Well, at that time, and I think one of the things that people forget, we were going through a philosophical change defensively. We didn't play any good. Missouri played great. We didn't play any good. We were doing a lot of things differently. On the defensive side that we were still learning, we were kind of doing some things differently on the offensive end, kind of getting away from spread a little bit. And if you'll remember that Missouri game and then Michigan State, we got waxed at Michigan State right after Christmas or the New Year. We were all kind of just making those changes, and not to make an excuse, they played great. They deserved to win. They got every rebound. They played harder than we did. And I'm not going to take anything away from them, but we didn't play very good. And but I think that's the growth. Those are the speed bumps that you have when we were a young team last year, and I think we're in a different place this year. Obviously, proving that with our schedule, or come from behind win against Ohio, or the battle royal with Baylor, who I think's the best team in the country and very, very, very good, and then going to Duke. So I think we're in a better place and have a better understanding of what we're doing.
And then a quick follow-up that I have, now that you've seen this rivalry for a few years as a coach on the Illinois sideline, how important is experience in this game?
I mean, I think it's trying to educate your young people, and as to what this game is about, how intense it's going to be. I mean, it's got a different feel this year, not having 20,000 fans split down the middle, but and I think you try to understand that there's some different perspectives on the line, especially from the fans, and the fans talk about it maybe a little more than they do getting ready for Minnesota on Tuesday. So and yet we're here, and we've got to go play better than we did last year.
Thank you, Coach.
Hey, Brad, two-parter. Kofi, it looked to me like he played very well, especially defensively. That may have been his biggest contribution against Duke. Did you see it the same way? And then also, how effective was he and Georgie together on the floor?
Well, that was a great challenge for Kofi, because Matthew Hurt is an unbelievably talented offensive player, and he was coming off a game where he made 6 threes, and we told him the one thing that he was going to be challenged with was moving his feet and contesting, and we did some switching. We did some 1 through 5 switching with him because of personnel and some of our schemes. So he was very good in that. The one thing we've got to continue to challenge him with is getting back in and rebounding from the perimeter. Georgie's been awesome. I mean, Georgie's been incredible. And I mean, the versatility Georgie's playing with, we got him handling the ball, breaking the press, throwing lobs, scoring on the block. I mean, he's defensively come so far. It's scary how much he's improved on that end of the court. So, yeah, I mean, it worked. We didn't have to play it a lot at Duke because of their matchups, but it's something I'm really comfortable with.
And what other Adam Miller? What's his status?
Great. Been in practice all week.
Thanks.
Robert, then Brett.
Hey, Coach, I'm curious about Javon Pickett. He had 17 points last year, 16 points. Seems to get up for this game. Any thoughts on what he presents, as well as any regrets of how it didn't work out when he was committed to Illinois when you took the job?
I mean, those are long gone. He's played great. He's been the difference in the game, in my opinion. I have tremendous appreciation for anybody who plays as hard as he does. He's been a dominant figure in the game, not just scoring the basketball, but it was his effort plays, it was his offensive rebounding. He got into a great place in that game where he was making threes. It's not his deal making threes, but he can, but he's been a thorn in the side. There's no doubt about it.
That's all I got. Thanks.
Brad, Coach K made some comments this week about questioning, is it safe to be playing? How do you feel about what you guys are doing right now, and if you guys should continue?
Yeah, I think the one thing that we felt, and I'll say this, we felt extremely safe playing Duke because they're testing like we are. The one thing he's going to speak for what he thinks is best for his program. And that's his right. And I'm going to speak for ours. Our kids want to play, and we're excited to play. And we've been voting, and I think the one thing the Big Ten has done is put an unbelievable emphasis. They put their money where their mouth is, and they put it in the safety and health and well-being of our student athletes. And we've done over 150,000 tests this fall already. Men's basketball has played 53 games already. We haven't had any positives in our league. There was some contact tracing at Northwestern, but no positives. And I think that my frustration, I don't want to say frustration. That's maybe not the right word, Brad. We should be testing every day. And I don't understand why we're not when it comes to the safety and health of our student athletes. And we've been meeting as coaches twice a week since July, and hashing out all the problems and understanding that the NCAA moved the start date back. They asked us to play non-league games. I still think the safest thing is league games. I would always say that. I said I've been a big proponent of that. But every league's doing something different, which is disappointing. But Coach K has his beliefs and his rights to say that. I just don't happen to agree with him because of the protocols and the efforts and the amount of money that we've put into testing. And really in talking with all of our athletes in the Big Ten, each of our coaches, the majority of all of us, guys want to play, and we want to play over Christmas, and we've got a shortened season, and you start throwing finals in there, and you start throwing in built-in opportunities to play makeup games. Then this season becomes really, really short because we have a defined period where the NCAA tournament's going to be that we can't go past. So, I get it. He's a powerful voice in our profession and a legend, and yet it was what was best for his program, and I just happen to not agree with that.
Thanks, Brad.
Piper.
Hey, Coach, one thing you said after last year's game is that it was personal for Mizzou and maybe wasn't personal for your guys. I know Io told us Tuesday night that you owe them one after the way the last two have gone. Do you want that mindset for your guys? Do you want it to feel a little personal, especially after the way the last two have played out?
Well, if it helps us play better, yeah. I'm always one of those guys, and you guys know me by now. I don't ever try to get too hyped, especially for non-league games. But this one's different, and I didn't do a very good job last year. We weren't the same team that played Missouri that played Iowa at the end of the season. I mean, we were a team that was searching when we played them, and you know, so we were philosophically still trying to figure things out and lineups and so on and so forth. So we're in a different place, and you know, I think we're more comfortable with each other. But again, they give them all the credit. You know, they punched us in the mouth, and we kept taking them and never threw any back. So you know, we've got to you know, we got to show a little fight this year.
Kofi and Jeremiah getting a chance to see each other for the second time. What do you make of that matchup? What do you need to see out of Kofi?
It's a lot of beef hitting each other in the paint. It reminds me kind of old school basketball, to be honest. We see so many games today where there's not two true centers on the court. You know, and the thing that's unique about both those guys, Derek, is we both know that they're athletic, but they have great size. You know, I think Jeremiah's 260 probably, and you know, Kofi's 295. So, you know, it's unique to see that, and they're both very, very good at what they do and using their body and their athleticism. So it'll be a fun matchup to watch.
Real quick, any status update on Hutch? I asked you a week or so ago.
No, Hutch is still in a day-to-day operational thing with his back and with no timetable yet due to his stress fractures.
Thanks.
Okay, Nico, then Scott Ritchie.
Hey, Coach, just wanted to follow up on just Demonte Williams offensively this year. Looking back to last season, really picked up towards the end of the year on his three-point shooting. What have you seen early on from him, you know, shooting almost 70% from behind the arc? And do you maybe want to see him try to shoot the ball a little bit more if those opportunities present themselves?
Yeah, I want Demonte to shoot every time he's open because it's going in. I mean, he's playing with a tremendous amount of confidence. He's playing great at both ends. He had one of the elite plays that I've ever been a part of in the Duke game the other night, you know, with that block of the lob, and Adam Miller jumps into the Duke bench and saves it. And Demonte just didn't settle. He just, you know, he ran and grabbed the ball right in front of him. And those plays are priceless. And Demonte's doing, you know, whatever it takes to win. And but when he's open, I mean, he shoots a lot of balls every single day. And again, I go back to one of the main reasons we played better last year was he started playing extremely well, and he's carried that over.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, Scott, then Brandon.
Hey, Brad. I mean, I guess it's really, you know, down to Trent and Monte that played with Mark. And is that some distance from, you know, a couple of years ago? Has that changed the tenor of it a little bit where, I mean, you got most of your guys, you know, you don't know Mark or don't know Javon or Jeremiah?
Time moves on, man. And you know, he's another person on a scouting report, you know, and that's, he's a good player. He's had a great career, and give Mark his props, but he's another player on a scouting report we got to find a way to guard.
I guess just with you know, being on a campus site this year, would you want, you know, a game in Champaign next year, or do you feel like, you know, it should go back to St. Louis when you guys can do that? No,
one off year. That's you know, what we felt was the safest way to play this, and you know, they won the coin toss, so, you know, we're going there.
Thank you.
Okay, Brandon, you're up.
Brad, in the preseason, you talked about wanting to play faster, and you guys are actually up 6 possessions per game compared to last year. So have you been happy with the pace of play thus far?
Yeah, I love it. And Georgie Bashanishvili is a big piece of that. Curvelo is a big piece of that. We saw Adam get going in transition and just running the floor and pitch aheads and his threes. And that's why we wanted to play faster. And, Georgie completely changed the game the other night when he came into the game with his speed and his rim running. I mean, they're screaming. They're benched to keep up with him because he's rim running. He got a couple easy baskets out of it. So yeah, I mean, it's not something we know we can sustain for 40 minutes. Other teams are going to make us play in the half court, but we had 31 points under 7 seconds in the Duke game, and that's a great number.
Another area you guys have really improved in is 3-point shooting. You're top 5 nationally in percentage. What do you kind of attribute that to?
I've said it. We had good shooters. Last year it was kind of a snowball effect. I don't know. I can't explain that. But it just got to be almost contagious. And again, I think, the new line maybe had something to do with that. Obviously Coleman Hawkins and hasn't showed it yet. Jacob Grandison hasn't showed it yet. Adam Miller, those guys are all really, really good shooters. And so it's become contagious in practice. We have fun in practice. We have days where we get on some serious runs, but Io had an off season where he worked on the NBA line. And Trent's been a 40% 3-point shooter, through his career. So, it was just a matter of time. And then add Demonte and the run he's on. Again, we got some weapons now.
Thanks, Brad.
Joey and then Matt.
Hey, Brad, you mentioned Jacob. We haven't maybe seen him too much consistently on the floor. Is there something he needs to do to get out there more?
Not fouled twice in 22 seconds. He was one of the first subs off the bench the other night, and just, we need Jake. And Jake's going to be a really good player. We need his energy. He's a really good rebounder. Again, kind of a unfortunate set of circumstances leading up to his fouls the other night because he's been practicing extremely well. And, he's going to be a big part of this team as we move forward.
And then I think on Tuesday you mentioned hockey assists. I'm assuming you guys keep a track of that number. And if you do, who's leading the team and what does that unlock in the offense when you guys are zipping it like that?
Well, and it's so many times we always want to look at the assist. And if we get about 60% of those that are hockey assists, that's a great number. And, understanding a few of those times we're going to run some action that'll be a middle ball screen or something and the ball doesn't pop. But making the extra pass is the unselfish play. And that's what we talk about a lot in this program. And so, we get up into the 60% rate. It's going to vary every night. Demonte's always going to be up there. Demonte's got a quick trigger. It hits his hands. He sees the play very early. He doesn't have to process. If we can get 60% of those, that means we're whipping the ball pretty good.
Brad, your opening comment was interesting to me in the sense that I've always kind of, like the last couple of years, thought this game was kind of a clash of styles where Zoe has typically wanted to turn the game into a fist fight and you kind of wanted to get out and transition. But are you seeing a more open and faster Mizzou team than you've seen in previous years?
Much faster. I mean, they're playing with great speed. It's one of my big concerns going into the game. The Penson is a blur. He's extremely fast and he's pushing and if you don't get him stopped, he's getting into the paint. Tillman and Brown both do a great job of rim running. And then you throw the Smiths out there on the wings, and both of those guys are very, very capable shooters. So they're playing quicker, they're playing faster, I think that's one of the results of moving Penson full time to that point guard spot.
My quick follow-up is you kind of mentioned it, but it seems like you've been able to get out in transition and be one of those, top 5, top 10 transition teams this year because of your bigs, Kofi and specifically Georgie. How much of an emphasis did you put this offseason in making sure that they can rim run and they can beat people down the floors? Because it's usually, when you talk about pace, it's usually a guards, the guys who have the ball. But it seems like your bigs have been a big reason for that.
Well, when you can run down the middle third of the floor from the front end of one rim to the front end of the other rim, people have to account for that. And what usually happens in you see teams have one guy who can do it, and then they don't have a second guy. And that's where that's why Georgie's impacted so many games with his speed and his early post-ups. And we like to go point to post a lot with those guys running and getting deep position. And Georgie's, he comes in with a fresh burst, at 3 or 4 minutes into the game, and the other team's guys are tired, or he's seeing a second string guy. That's pretty effective, and teams have to account for that. And then that opens up, cracks and crevices and pitch aheads for then our wings, because those bigs are running.
Thanks, Brad.
Okay, that's everything for today. Appreciate it. And reminder, we'll have Demonte around 4 o'clock after practice. Thank you.